What's up, twin? How you doing? How you doing? Hope you're doing good. Hope you're having a good day. I hope your mental health's good. I hope your physical well-being's good. Hope the food you ate this morning's good. If you didn't eat food, go eat some food. You need it. Um, yeah, I'm good though. I'm a lot better. In the last two videos, I said that my mental health kind of wasn't where I wanted it to be at. In all honesty, um, it's gotten a lot better though in the last week and a half, or kind of since those videos. Um, it's still I still have moments. You know what I mean? Everybody has their moments where the thoughts just kind of go and they do their own thing. But I've been just stop that. You get 5 minutes to think, and that's it. Move on, twin. Um, but yeah, my mental health's a lot better than what it's been in the last two videos. I've just been talking, praying to God, saying, "Hey, twin, you got it." You know, if I need to stop thinking about something, just turn that light switch off and turn a different one on, so I can think about something different. Um, I also got reminded about one of my tattoos the other day. Uh, we'll make a tattoo video later, but I'm just rambling right now. Anyways, Um, like I said, hope you're doing good though. I'm doing a lot better. I'm making a video. I feel good enough to make a video. Precursors though, as usual. Um, Philosophical, deep thought. Comment it below, and I'll talk about it in another video. If you're going through something right now and you're like, "Holy fuck, I just really wish somebody would talk about this," comment that, and I will talk about it, twin. It may not. I might not say exactly what you need to hear, but it's the premise. If you support me, I'm gonna support you. You going through something, I got you, cuz I'm not a wizard. I'm not an expert. I am a wizard, matter of fact. I'm not an expert though. I ain't no psychologist. I'm just a kid, 20. I'm just a dude, grown man, 21 years old. Finna be 22, by the way. 2 weeks. Well, technically 13 days. It's on a Sunday. Today's Monday. Anyways, I'm just a guy going through life just like you guys are. Shit's stressful. Shit's confusing. It's weird. It's scary. But if you're going through something, comment it in. I got you, cuz. Uh, Also, some of you are fake as hell. Friends, specifically, people at school, because you'll tell me, B, when's the next video? B, we need a video. I'll tell you guys, hey, what do you want me to talk about? Nobody says anything. Great. Cool. Help me out, guys. I can't help you if you don't help me. But we're making this video because one of my friends, she helped me out. So if you're here, thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. Um. Anyways, though, I get to like the main context. I have a friend. I'm assuming she watches the videos like frequently, or like when I post, because there's been times she's like slid up and we just talked about the video or something like that. And the other day she had posted on her story, and I slid up and I was like, "Hey, what you want to see on the channel next?" And then she actually sent me like 4 or 5 really interesting things to talk about. So you guys have like 4 or 5 videos already predetermined or predetermined topics, whereas most of these I kind of just on the fly. If I'm going through life, I just press record and then that turns into a video. So yeah, now we got a couple of videos ahead. Um, but yeah, uh, she gave me a couple ideas, couple of things to talk about. So that's what this is. Um, yeah, I guess it's really all for the precursors. I um, I I had more in my brain, I guess, but I don't know, my brain's just been like on and off. I also just went on a walk before this to try to like clear my mind, and it was pretty good actually. I went on a little walk, longer walk than usual. Had my coffee with me. Um, Bro, it rained the other day, bro. It's been raining these past 2 days, and the mosquitoes are freaking terrible, and it makes me so mad because we just had the mosquito people come and like spray our yard, and it feels like they didn't need to spray the yard. Anyways, ignorance and bliss. Um, I feel we've all heard this saying before: "Is ignorance bliss?" or "Ignorance is bliss." Some you get the point. I feel like we've all heard this saying before, but I don't know about you guys. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I didn't know what it meant. I'd be so fried. I had no idea what it meant. Especially because I feel we use those two words without truly understanding what they mean. So like, she sent me the list of ideas, and then this one kind of just I just kept my mind kept looping through it. So I was like, well, we're gonna turn that into video, right? But one of the things that I had to acknowledge when looking at the ideas that they sent and this video specifically is I feel that you have to know what the word ignorance means and the word bliss, right? Um, 2 seconds. Okay, I was seeing how my dogs are. Sorry, I was thinking about letting them inside. They'll be fine. Anyways, I feel like before anything, you have to know what the word ignorance means and what the word bliss means. Because at least in my mind and what I've seen in my life, I feel we use the word ignorance a lot, and we really don't know what it means. You know what I mean? I feel like what I've seen is, you got a group of friends, somebody does something dumb, like, oh, bro, this guy's ignorant, bro, or like, It's just a friend like does something stupid and you just call him ignorant. Uh, he messes up, he breaks something. He's like, oh, dude, this guy's ignorant, whatever, whatever. That's not even like that. The word ignorance literally means to not know. That's actually all it is. To be ignorant is to mean you don't know something. Ignorance just means don't know. If I don't know, like example, 137 times 12, I have no clue in the hell what that means. I am ignorant, right? But I'm ignorant because I simply don't know. I feel that we use the word ignorant and ignorance, and it's such a, I feel like how it's been portrayed is a really, really strong word, and kind of a bad, not like a bad word, but just like a word that maybe like means harm. Not necessarily means harm, but it's just that I feel like, in my mind, again, like I said, this is from my perspective, what I've seen in life, is that the value that we attach the word ignorance to, we use it in a shunning way, in a cunning way, I guess you could say. But it's really not even like that. It literally just means to just not know. I don't know what 213 times 8 is, so I'm ignorant because I don't know, right? Cool. Now we got that word established. Bliss. Bliss just means like absurdly happy, at peace, very, very joyful, right? I'm blissful. I am so happy. Today's been such an amazing day. There's so much bliss because I'm so happy. That's all that means. I made a 100 on my final. I have so much bliss. I am so happy. I am so joyful because I made a 100. That's all it means. Ignorance, I do not know. 2,000 times 412, I don't know. I'm ignorant. I made a 100 on my final. I am blissful. I am extremely joyful. I am extremely happy, right? That's all that means. So, saying, is ignorance bliss? Is to not know something, does that mean, or excuse me, to not know something, does that bring you joy and peace? Basically, I don't know if I worded that right, but I feel like you guys get the point. Uh, it's interesting. I would agree and disagree. I can't really speak in any other perspective besides mine, but I would say I agree and disagree. I do think that ignorance creates bliss because, I mean, if you don't know something, how can it affect your mood? I don't know. I had a thought the other day when I was kind of like thinking about this. I was at work yesterday. Um, and this video was kind of just circling through my mind, and how I was thinking about, like, if I don't know something, will it make me happy, right? I think yes and no, like I said, but I think it's one of those. I think it depends on if you are already in bliss or not, if you are already happy or not. For example, um, like if I don't know something, right, but I'm already in a good mood, I'm still gonna be in bliss because that's already my mood, my emotion, or whatever. However, like, holy fuck, why am I going blank right now, guys? I'm so sorry. Like, if I'm already in a state of bliss, right? If I'm already in a state of bliss, I'm already feeling good. The fact that I'm not gonna know won't change the fact that I'm still in bliss. If that makes sense, right? Whereas, like, I go walk my dogs. I'm in a good mood because I'm walking my dogs and I'm doing something that I want to do that makes me happy, right? Cool. Sorry. I'm in bliss because I'm already doing something, right? Not aware or not worried about the other external cues because I'm already, again, in bliss, right? Whereas if something happens and I simply don't know, I don't think the bliss is going to change because I'm already there. I don't even know if this is making sense. Oh my gosh. I kid you guys not. This video made way more sense in my head. Now that I'm pressing record, I feel like I'm fumbling the fucking bag. I'm sorry. Um, oh, sorry, I got to put on my knees. I think that ignorance is bliss in the sense that if you don't know something, how can it really affect your mood, right? It's kind of ironic that I say that. Sorry, self self out loud moment. Um, but it's like I said, if you're already in a state of being happy, in a state of being bliss, I simply, I think the unknown, like, I think if you're already in a state of bliss, I think the unknown will only have, or excuse me, if you're in a state of bliss, I think ignorance will only affect you if you allow it to. Like I said, if I'm walking my dogs and I'm already in a good mood, I'm already blissful, something that I don't know happens, I think as long as I do not let it affect me, I stay, you know, calm. I speak to myself or whatever it may be, however it is you cope with things, then I will stay in bliss. Because again, it's one of those, I already have a good mood, I already have good energy. So why would I let the unknown simply affect me? And this is so stupid that I say this out loud because life. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry, just life, right? But at the same time, I think that ignorance. Hmm, I don't know. I don't know. I'm so sorry if you're watching this, ma'am. I feel like I really had this fleshed out in my head better. I don't know. It's like I said yesterday while I was at work. I was just like, the video was like, dude, that just makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. But I think it's good though. This is a good video to make because it's proving that like it's working. You know, if I mean, this is getting me to think, getting me to try to come up with something to say, especially on the spot. Um, I guess I can say why I don't think that ignorance is bliss, right? Because as humans, in our nature and our animalistic instincts, you know, things like that. If you were to take away every single thing that a human is, right? You forget that we like. Okay, side rant. Dog, for example, right? Dogs have animalistic things that are rooted within them, no matter what. I remember the first time, or excuse me, who in the hell? Nobody teaches a dog that they're going to spin in a circle and plop down when they feel comfortable, right? Nobody teaches them that, right? They just know it. It's instinctually within the animal, within the creature, that they're just going to do that. It's part of their DNA. Us as humans, I feel part of our DNA, part of our animalistic instincts is to want to understand, is to want to know, right? I'm huge on that myself. I'm such a curious person, and I actually think that's what fucks me up sometimes is because I want to know so much, right? It's like I want to know because one, I'm just curious because I care, and then I also just want to be able to. I don't think we can ever fully understand somebody, but I want to get as close as I can to understanding somebody or something in general, right? And I think that the unknown is what leads us to that, right? Now, like I said, I think it's rooted within us to want to be curious and to want to know things. Obviously, per person depends on your desire to ask questions or not. But the unknown is such a human like fascination. Ignorance is such a human fascination, something that's just rooted within us, right? And I actually think that's what I was trying to go with this. I think that a lack of ignorance can actually bring bliss, right? Saying this in kind of like the opposite. Like, because the saying is ignorance is bliss, meaning that if you don't know something, you'll be happier. I actually think it's kind of the opposite to a degree. I think that, like, if you know something, right? If you know something, and let's say you didn't want to know it, for example, it might throw you off. It might hurt. It might cause you pain. It might cause you. It might cause you to be unhappy. It basically just like you knowing something, right, can put you the opposite of bliss, feeling bad, not being happy, right? But then I think with that, still, you know, the fact that you still wanted to know something, and you let's say you didn't get the result. Hello, you wanted to know something, didn't get the desired result, or you figured out something, you asked a question, you got the answer, and it's not what you wanted. Now you're not happy. You're not feeling good. But I still think that in that you still asked the question intentionally, not knowing what the answer is going to be, right? And now, obviously, now you know the answer. Now you know how you feel. But I think that because now you have the answer, and now because you asked the question, you got what you were looking for, right? Let's say it wasn't what you were looking for, but you asked the question, and now you have an answer, right? I think because now that you have that answer, you can still transform that answer that you did not like and those bad emotions into bliss because now you're more aware. You know what I mean? It's like I have no idea if this is going to make sense, but please stick with me for 2 seconds, right? I don't know what 113 times 7 is, right? Now, Let's say I figure that out. It's a number. Like I said, this is gonna sound super dumb, but just stick with me here. I figure it out. I don't like that number. Oh my gosh, is this even making sense? Excuse me. I figure it out. It's something that I don't like, right? But now I've learned something. I've figured something out, and the result of that is now, like I said, for this math example, because I figured out what that answer is, I feel like now I can learn math more, right? And like I said, this is gonna sound super weird, but like I said, okay, hold on, let me restart. Sorry, guys. I feel like I'm just repeating myself. 113 times 8. Don't know the answer, but I figure out the answer. Okay, cool. The answer didn't make me feel good, but now that I know the answer, I can use the fact that I know that answer to make me feel good. I can use the fact that I didn't know how to do that proper math to learn math, learn math more, to make me feel good going forward, to create bliss from the fact that I asked a question of something I didn't know, right? I hope that makes sense, guys. I'm sorry. Like, I do agree that ignorance is bliss because it's one of those, if you don't know something and you don't ask, how can it change your mood? Holy fuck, that's what I was trying to say earlier. Oh, that's what I was trying to say earlier, guys. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That's why I was trying to say, if you're already in a state of bliss, whatever. It's, if you don't know something, how can it truly affect your mood? If I don't know something, how can it change me from going out of bliss if I don't know? You know what I mean? Like, whereas if I do know, it'll take me out of bliss, right? I feel like I had my train of thought and then I lost it. Sorry. But like, what I'm getting at is, I agree that ignorance is bliss because if you don't know, you can remain happy because again, it's something that the fact that you don't know, it's not changing anything. The fact that I don't know something, it's not changing what my subconscious thinks about. It's not changing how I feel externally. It's not changing my motivation. It's not changing my discipline. It's keeping me not sedentary, but it's keeping me stagnant. You know what I mean? Because I'm not knowing something, I'm just gonna be happy. I'm gonna be peaceful. I'm gonna be joyful because there's nothing out there that's altering that, because again, I'm not aware of something, so it's not going to change. Whereas now I ask a question, I don't get the desired result, or it's something that alters this bliss that I have, right? And now I'm down in the slums. But I think that because it's the fact that you didn't know something and you got the answer that you weren't wanting, I I agree that ignorance is bliss, but I think that what my brain's trying to wrap around is, I actually think it's like the opposite how I think about it personally. I agree that if you don't know something, it can make you feel good, correct, right? But I also think that if you try to know something, like perfect example, and I hope this makes sense. I hope this makes sense. I started Olympic weightlifting. If you don't know what that is, clean and jerk and then snatch. I started those roughly about like a year ago, half a year ago. I don't quite know. I had the videos on my phone when I started, but basically, it was something that I didn't know how to do. I didn't know how to do it. I I didn't even have shoulder mobility. You know what I mean? I didn't even have shoulder mobility. I didn't have ankle mobility. I had a stiff back. Something that I did not know, right? And I tried. I jumped into something I didn't know. I learned it, right? Learning how to do these Olympic lifts made me feel weak. I've never been humbled in my whole life more than a 135-pound snatch. Try that shit. I'm not saying it's crazy. It's hard if you don't know what you're doing, but it's one of those, I jumped into it. Obviously, I tried to work up to blah blah blah. But 135 pounds has never humbled me more in my life than when I did snatch. And I'm like, dog, I can do way more than this. These are rookie. This is what I warm up with. Whatever. Cool. Anyways, point being, I went into something that I didn't know. Right? Because I went into that, it I'm not gonna say it made me feel bad, but it made me feel a little weak because it was something, it's new. I didn't know. I didn't like the fact that I could not lift 135 the way I wanted to. But then through that ignorance and through me trying to know something, it altered my mood. Like I said, made me feel a little weaker, right? But through my mood getting altered, the product is that I felt better. You know, I looking at it today, Olympic lifts are my favorite lifts in the whole fucking world. If I could just do clean and jerk and snatch for the rest of my life, oh my gosh, I would. But clean and jerk and snatch aren't gonna give me the full body aesthetic that I want. You know what I mean? It's not gonna make me. It will make me a better athlete. But if I only do clean and jerk and snatch, I'm not finna run faster. Like I will run faster, but I got to do other stuff, run specific stuff to make me run faster, right? And what I'm getting at is, I think you have to expand on ignorance and expand on the unknown. I think you need to try. I think you need to ask questions, because if you don't ask questions, if you stick into the fact that I don't know something, it's not going to change anything, right? Like I used like the fact that I didn't know how Olympic lifts worked. I said, you know what? I'm going to try this. I'm going to try to understand these Olympic lifts, right? And the result is that it just made me just feel better. Oh, ah! I don't know if I'm making sense, guys. I'm so sorry. Sorry. I'm fine, but man, I wish I was making more sense right now. But like, what I'm getting at is I agree, ignorance is bliss, but my brain's just really saying the opposite. I think that I think that you should try to explore something that you do not know. Don't leave it as an unknown thing. Explore it. Ask the question. You may not like the answer, but that's fine. You'll be okay. I promise you will be okay. No matter how much that answer fucking sucks, you will be okay, twin. I promise you. If you're alive, you are okay. I promise you. I don't know what your life situation is, but you'll be okay, twin. I promise, right? And ask that question. Do that new thing. Explore the fact that you don't know something, right? And then it may alter your mood. It may make you feel like shit. You may be sad. You may be happy. I don't know, right? Point being, it may alter your mood, right? But use the fact that it altered your mood and think about that. Think about how you felt, what emotions it was, how your mood was, how did your subconscious switch? How did it make your external feel? How did it make your conscious feel? You know what I mean? I think this is a side. I think there's three parts to us, right? And this is something that I kind of just dawned on me last night, and it was kind of weird experiencing this. What I was telling myself is I think there's three parts to you. There's your conscious, right? Your thoughts in your head. There's your subconscious, which is kind of just like, I don't really know how to explain subconscious, but I mean it's just like if you just zone out, that's your subconscious just doing its thing, right? And I think there's your external. This is the physical part, right? I think your subconscious obviously controls your conscious, and your conscious may control your external. But what I'm getting at is I feel if you can distinguish those three things. So like me, for example, right? Um, I had got off work. It was kind of rough towards the end of work, and the subconscious wanted to just sit with these thoughts and let them spiral. Right? It wasn't like crazy bad thoughts, but the subconscious in me wanted to sit with these emotions that I had and just let it spiral. Right? It did. That's what the subconscious wanted to do. Is it just wanted to sit in this spiral, in this clusterfuck of whatever I'm thinking about. Right? Cool. My conscious my conscience was like, nigga, get over that shit, bro. Quit thinking about that. It's been longer than 5 minutes. Why are you still thinking about this? It was quite literally like the subconscious was irritating my conscious, if that makes sense. And then my external, like it was like my subconscious and my conscious were like at a battle, right? The subconscious was like, hey, I want to think about this. Conscious is like, nigga, I don't. And the external was like, twin, I just want to go outside. I want to go outside. You know what I'm saying? I want to go on a run. Something like, and what I'm getting at is just, I feel like at that moment in time, and I feel like maybe this for you, and it depends on how you combat it or experience it. There's three different parts of your brain, like I just said: subconscious, conscious, and internal. Right? And I think, because I need to tie this back into the video somehow. I think once you can distinguish those three things, obviously, I feel it'll help your life trajectory, your mental go up just drastically. But what I'm getting at to tie this back in is explore those three parts of your mind, those three parts of you with ignorance, right? Let, damn it, damn it. Let, let your subconscious think about this thing that you don't know, right? And then let your conscious and your external, your physical, act on it, right? Because obviously there's this saying, your subconscious controls your conscious. If you can change what you think about when you're just in your head by yourself, you can change everything. You can change how you act towards people. You can change how you speak. You can change how you carry yourself. You can treat people better, whatever, right? But what I'm getting at, and I don't know, sorry if this video's been all over the place. Like I said, I thought the image I had when I, talked about this to myself, it made a lot more sense. But like what I'm trying to get at is acknowledge those three parts of your brain, those three parts of you, at least from what I'm saying. Acknowledge those three parts, and then explore the ignorance, explore the unknown. You know what I mean? And it may hurt, it may suck, it may feel great. You might actually, you might explore that unknown and feel better than you've ever felt, right? Who knows? I don't know. Your life's different than mine. But my whole thing and my stance on ignorance is bliss is I actually think it's the opposite. Despite everything I've just said and however long we've been talking, I think that's what my brain's really trying to wrap around. Explore, explore the unknown, because I think if you don't explore the unknown, you can't grow, right? When I first started football, I hated it. My earliest memory of football is going to one of the parks in my town. This is obviously I'm little league, so like Boys and Girls Club, little. One of my earliest memories is we went to a park in town for practice, and when I played, I was like low key like every position besides the O line because I was just smaller. I was quarterback for a game. I played receiver, running back. I was mainly running back though. We had two running backs. It was like me and like a no no. We had two running backs and then like a stupidly tall receiver for our age. Um, First practice, I cried, dude. I cried. We were running plays, and I remember I ran up to my mom. I'm like fucking like sobbing. I'm like, Mom, I hate football. I want to go home. I want ice cream. I don't like this football. Blah blah blah. Right. But I had tried something that I didn't know. I had tried the unknown, and I think this is a little harder for me to make an example out of because football is actually not my favorite sport. I actually didn't even want to play it my senior year. Fun fact. Track's my favorite sport. Best thing in the whole wide world. But what I'm getting at is I think through exploring the unknown, through through exploring the unknown, through asking that question that you might not want the answer to, it will it will make you think about things that you maybe haven't thought about. Or you might be in a new situation that your brain hasn't experienced, right? But through that, through these new thoughts you're thinking about, and through this new experience that you're going through, um, I think bliss will come. It won't be immediate by any means. It's like I said in the very beginning of this video, actually. Um, I think myself, for example, I guess I'm finna sit in the grass. This is crazy, by the way. Myself, for example, um, I ask a lot of questions. Like I said earlier, I just want to know things. It's because I'm a curious person. I like to try to be able to understand people. I care a lot, so that's why I ask a lot of questions. Um, and in result, I've actually got my feelings hurt a lot. So you could argue that if I never asked those questions, my feelings wouldn't have ever been hurt, and I would have stayed in bliss. I would have been happy. My mental might not have dropped. I probably would have stayed in bliss, right? But because I ask questions and because I try to understand and because I care, um, it's resulted in me not quite being where I want to be, right? Now, from that though, I've sat with those emotions, I've sat with those thoughts, came to terms with them best that I could, and I've found that through the process of asking questions, of trying to know things, right, the opposite of ignorance is that I've found I'm slowly coming to bliss. I feel like I've been getting just my mood just been getting 1% better a day. You know what I mean? Something that I've like when I pray in the shower, I always say the same thing every single day. The very first thing I said, "Thank you for waking me up. Thank you for allowing me to experience new things, to perceive, to be alive, and then to create new memories, no matter how insignificant they are, and even if I forget it in 10 minutes, right? Every single day in the shower, that's the first thing I say. Thank you for waking me up, for experiencing, perceiving, creating memories, right? And I've perceived I've perceived different things, and I've had memories, that I like I said I have forgotten in 10 minutes, right? And then I've experienced new things. I've experienced new emotions, and just I don't know, but like really what I'm getting at is I think just through I don't know where I was trying to go with that. I'm sorry. And I think through I think you need to ask questions. I think you need to ask questions. You may not want to, but I think you need to. I think you need to ask questions because it's one of those, yes, it may suck. It may alter your mood. You may actually hate life in that moment in time, but I promise you, you will find bliss. I guarantee it. I can't tell you how long. I can't tell you how long it'll be. So I don't want you to sit here and be like, you know what? I'm gonna ask that girl out. Nigga, I didn't say that. I did not tell you that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, I'm saying you should ask the questions. I'm saying be curious. Ask those questions. Yes, it may alter your mood. It may not put you where you want to be at, but ask the questions and then bliss will come. Ask the question and you will be one step closer to your truest, purest self, your truest character, right? The bliss will come. Life may suck for a little bit. That's just kind of how it is. Life is this weirdness of ups and downs and these emotions and, whatever the fuck emotions even are. But bliss will come. I agree that ignorance is bliss because if you don't know something, how can it affect your mood? You know what I mean? If I don't know, it's really just like I said. If you don't know something, how can it affect your mood if you're already in a good mood or whatever? Now, but it's also like I said, asking questions can alter your mood. It might put you in a bad headspace. It might put you in bad thoughts or negative thoughts, something you don't want to think about. But at the end of that, after those thoughts fade away, after you sit with those emotions, after you speak to yourself or pray to God or whatever it is you do, there will be bliss. And I think that bliss that comes is better than the bliss that will have happened if you chose to not ask questions. I think that makes sense. Yeah. I think there's two different forms. Like I said, I think that the bliss that you get, the happiness that you get from the unknown isn't I think the happiness that you get from the unknown is just level 1 happiness, right? I think the happiness that you get or that you will get from asking the question, from being curious, I think that product of happiness is a much higher level, like level 5 happiness, because it's one of those you ask the question, it may not have went your way, but because it didn't go your way, you sat with those things and you learned from those things. You may have learned about yourself, about another person. You just learn in general. I think life is a game about learning. We have not a lot of time, dude. I was literally thinking while I was walking earlier how I'm going to be 22 in 2 weeks. And like, this is going to sound unrealistic, but I'm so serious when I say this. I want to live to 120. You might be listening like, what the hell is this nigga talking about? I'm serious when I say that because I want to experience and perceive and create as many memories as I can. That's quite literally why I say when I wake up, I thank God for allowing me to create memories and allowing me to experience and allowing me to perceive. But I want to make it to 120. And I don't think that if I, or I think that if I want to make it to 120, I have to ask the hard questions. I cannot sit in the unknown. I have to ask the hard questions. I have to try to learn more. I have to try to go through those negative emotions because, again, the end result, I think, will be level 5 happiness, opposed to if I don't ask questions, I'm sitting at level 1 happiness, right? I agree that ignorance is bliss, but I feel strongly that the bliss that you will get from not being ignorant, from being curious, is more pure than the happiness that you would get from just sitting in the ignorance and not knowing. I think that makes sense. Yeah. Oh, 2 seconds, guys. I'm gonna let my doggies in. I'm gonna let my doggies inside. Bear with me, guys. All right, we're back. I'm gonna let my dogs in. It's kind of, like I said, it's kind of humid out here. But it's not bad. It's just rained a lot the last 2 days. Um, I've, like I said, I'm a very curious person. Uh, I feel like it's just something that's just my nature specifically. Everybody's curiosity levels are different, but I've noticed within myself, I'm just really, really, really curious. I just really like to know things because it results from I just like to understand. I care for people a lot, so I just want to ask as many questions as I can, even if it's not an answer I get, right? And I found that through my life, um, me asking questions, and I said this earlier, me asking questions, it has affected myself. It's one of those, I think, actually, if I stayed in ignorance, I would have had more bliss. But because I am such a curious person, I ask questions and I get the answers that I don't like to hear a lot. Um, and because I don't get the answers I like to hear, it does affect my mood. I think my mental health goes down. We'll just say like 2%, not anything crazy, but it does affect my mood. It affects the things that I think about, and it puts me at not the ideal state that I want to be in. I don't know why I'm sitting on the ground. I just don't feel like standing. Um, but again, that's from, like I said, asking these questions brings me down, right? But then I think that after it brings me down, I drastically go up. Um, I hurt my own feelings a lot by asking questions, actually. And there's probably times, like I said, I'd be better off just not asking questions. I don't know. Um, Shout outs to the man walking. You can't see him yet. You'll probably see him in about a minute or 30 seconds or so. This guy walks every single day. Every day. I hope he lives to just stupidly old and however old he wants to be. And I hope he has such an amazing, peaceful life. He's scared of dogs. I think it's so funny. Whenever he walks in front of our house, he's on the opposite side of the road because he's scared of dogs. But our dogs are so nice. Um. Anyways, I found that through me asking questions, it has affected me a lot. It's tanked my mental health from times. Um, it's led to my brain creating images, which have also tanked my mental health. Right, but through those times where my brain health is bad and my thoughts are spiraling, and I don't feel like I'm me. I don't feel like I'm myself. I still think that despite that, at the end of it, that I do get happier somehow. I really do. I like it at some point. Whenever those negative thoughts leave, whenever my that brain fog clears up, I'm just happier somehow. You know what I mean? Like at school, a lot of people know me at school. A lot of people. I'm the president. I'm gonna be president. I'm the vice president of my fraternity. I'm on the track and field team. Um, I have a big afro. I don't know. Point being, at school, I'm very known. I'm not saying I'm like popular or anything, but I'm just very known. It's also kind of hard to miss a guy with an orange afro. You can't, I can't be sneaky to save my fucking life. I'm gonna be seen everywhere. Gotta have a good rep. You know what I'm saying? But no, like for real, what I'm getting at is at school, a lot of people know me, and a lot of people know me for being, the chill guy, the funny guy, but the one who's also just like happy. I try to push a lot of positivity into people. I try to tell people to smile. I tell people, hey, give strangers a compliment. Tell somebody you love them. Go talk to somebody. Go do a good deed. Tell somebody you hope they're having a good day. I don't know. I'd like to say I'm just the really positive spirit, right? The blissful spirit, we'll say for this video. But I think that the bliss that I have at school, and this is just at school at home, because I'm the same way here. Um, I think the bliss that I have and the bliss that people know me for really does stem from the fact that I've just asked a lot of questions and that I have just got my feelings hurt. I don't know. it's like I said earlier. I think because I ask questions, I've hurt my own feelings. But at the same time, I don't think that I'd be this happy person, this optimistic person that I am right now if I never got my feelings hurt. I don't think I'd be this optimistic person that I am right now if I never asked those questions and went through those emotions, you know? I don't I don't think so. I I think actually I'd be not as optimistic if I stayed in ignorance and I never asked questions. I think I'd still be, this optimistic person that I am today, but I don't think I'd be as outgoing as I am. You know what I mean? I'm like I'm not even trying to say that or like I'm not trying to be that guy or anything, but it's like you know how when somebody walks in a room, everybody's like, "Hey!" Like, "Oh, such and such is here." That's how I am, and that brings me so much joy. I love that because I like being able to bring people joy, and I like being able to see people smile, and I like seeing people happy. One of the things about myself, fun fact, people that I care about, I actually hate seeing them sad. Hate, and hate's such a strong word. I actually really don't like that word. But one of the rare things in life that I truly hate is seeing people that I care about sad. Um, because I try to be just a blissful guy, right? But I think that I feel that way because sorry, I felt like my voice cracked. I feel that excuse me. Hello? I'm not trying to use the word feel like 30 times in the same 30 seconds. I'm assuming that the reason that I think like that is because I'm somebody who's just hurt my own feelings a lot due to my curious nature, um, resulting in when I see people out of their zen, I just don't like it, right? But I also think that because I've hurt my own feelings by asking all these questions, or people have hurt feelings. I'm not saying I've hurt my own feelings because I ask all the. I mean, that's obviously like you ask a girl out, she says no. You didn't hurt your own feelings because you asked her out. She hurt your feelings because you didn't get the answer you desired. I'm not saying that woman's at fault. I'm just making a general example here. Um, but because I've asked questions and because I've got my feelings hurt and because I've hurt my own feelings through these questions, I think it really just has made me more blissful. I don't think that I'd quite literally be the person I am today if I didn't ask questions. I think I'd be less optimistic. I think I'd be less happy. I think I'd be less of a positivity inducing guy. I don't think that if I stayed in ignorance, I don't think that when I walk into a room people would be like, "Oh, hey, B's here." I don't think that happened. I think that I am this positive person just because of the fact that I'm just so curious, because I've went through all these highs and lows of emotions, because I've sat there and I've met people who've altered my mood for the better and for the worse, and I've learned and grown as a human being. I'm only 21. I got 98 years left, right? But it's still one of those that I just really think that you need to ask questions. As much as I agree with ignorance is bliss, I really feel it's the opposite. I really think that you don't need to sit in the fact that you don't know. I think you need to try to know, no matter how much that answer is going to fucking suck or how great it's going to be. I think you need to ask questions because without questions, you cannot grow. If you don't try something new, if you don't try to learn, you cannot grow, right? Simple as that. Um, Go ask that question. Go get that answer that you don't want to hear. I hope you get the answer you want to hear, of course. I'm looking out for you. You got to be optimistic, like I said. But I, again, I just truly feel that you will be more blissful, you will be happier, more joyful, more at peace if you ask that question. Even if, let's say it's the answer that you want, obviously you're going to be happier, duh, right? But put it into perspective like this, right? Put it in perspective like this. Let's say for 2 seconds. You like a girl, right? Like a girl, you like a boy. I'm not going to be biased right now. You like somebody. You want to ask them out, but you don't, right? Now, we're going to say for context, you're already a pretty positive person. You're pretty happy, pretty optimistic. You obviously have your moments, as everybody does, but you're pretty optimistic for the most part, pretty positive guy or female. Um, but you like somebody, right? and you don't ask them out, right? Again, it's kind of just a thought in your mind because you're a pretty optimistic person in general. You're continuing your life. You're just constantly at a state of bliss because it's just who you are. But again, you're in this ignorance that you're just unsure, so you don't ask. I don't know if she's gonna say yes, so I'm just not gonna ask because I don't know how her feelings are for me. So I don't ask. But again, because I'm already a pretty positive guy, I'm already in a state of bliss, right? Cool. Now, switch sides. Same thing. You still like this person. Now, it's different. Today's different. Like, today's the day. I don't know what it is. I just woke up today. I'm going to ask them out. Cool. You ask them out. They say yes. Now you have a significant other. Kudos to you. Shout out, said person. Um, but now, because you expanded on that curiosity and you asked that question, now you're more blissful than where you were before. Again, you're the same person. You're still optimistic. You're still very positive. Um, so you would have been at bliss either way, right? Because the story that I just said, you didn't ask them out and you're still already at bliss. You were just going to be fine regardless. You were already happy. Now, because you did the thing, you asked a question. Obviously, they said yes for the example. So obviously, you're going to be at more bliss. But point being, you asked a question and it altered your mood. You asked a question and it gave you more bliss than what you would have had before. You asked a question, they said yes. Now you're happier than what you wouldn't have been if you didn't ask. Now, let's say they say no, right? Because I feel like there's three parts to this. There's the part where you don't ask, there's the part where you do ask, and they say yes, and there's the part where they say no. Now, let's say you ask them out. They say no. Now you're sad. You're sad. Your feelings are hurt. Um, I don't know. You just want to play the game in your room. I don't know. You don't even want to eat. One of those types of things. You're really hurt, right? You're like, dang, I really like this person. It sucks it didn't work out. You're just sad. You're not you, right? Because I feel like everybody kind of goes through one of those, whether it's a breakup or something family related. Something happens and it's just a negative, and you just don't feel like you. Kind of how I said in my last two videos. Something happened, I didn't feel like me, right? Now you ask them out, they say no. You're sad, but the thing is, you're not gonna have a choice but to sit with that sadness. Obviously, you can do things that make yourself happy. Myself, for example, go on a walk, go to the gym, play with my dogs, go get coffee, something, right? But nonetheless, you're still gonna have to sit with those sad emotions, right? And then you're gonna get over those sad emotions. And a time will come where you're at peace again, right? And then because you sat with those sad emotions, you may have learned something about yourself or about the other person, resulting in more bliss, resulting in, hey, they said no. Okay, cool. Maybe you talk about how they feel. Maybe you don't. I don't really know. But point being, for this example, they said no. You're sad, right? Now you can sit with that sadness and really think about that. Think about why I'm sad. Think about why I like this person or whatever it may be. And then come to terms with those things and then simply progress from it. Let's say you made a mistake. Let's say you fucked up and that's why they said no. Cool. Now you can think about, okay, this is why they said no. I can learn from this. Let me move forward because they said no because I did this. Let me just not do that again. Or instead, let me do this differently to maybe just help the person more, right? But again, what I'm really getting at is like the fact that it's a negative emotion that came from asking a question. I truly feel it will result in just a better mood at the end of it. I and I can't tell you how long it's going to be. I'm sorry that girl told you no, twin. I am. It sucks. I wish she would have told you yes. But sit with those negative emotions. Sit with that sadness. Sit with that. Um, I don't know. Just sit with those emotions, the negative emotions, and then I think once you come to terms with those, bliss will come, and it will be a more rewarding bliss, a more truthful bliss than the type of bliss that would have came, than the type of happiness that would have came if you just didn't ask a question. Because if you don't ask a question, you're not gonna know. If you don't ask a question, nothing's gonna change. If I don't ask the teacher to help me on the homework, I'm not gonna get a better grade. Let's say I'm a good student. I already get good grades. Cool. I passed the homework, so I'm happy with that, right? I don't ask questions though, but I'm happy that I'm passing the homework. Let's say teacher asked I asked teacher for help. She doesn't make sense. Let's say I get a worse grade on the homework. I'm like, damn, how did this happen? I asked questions. I try to get help, but think about what you asked her. Think about how could it be done differently instead on the homework, right? Sit with that, process it, practice it. Maybe I don't know. This is a weird analogy to make, but point being is you ask teacher for help. You actually got a worse grade on the homework because you confused yourself, right? Sit with that confusion. Sit and try to figure out what went wrong, what you could have done, and then I feel as a result you're going to get a better grade on that homework. You're going to go from getting a 70 on the homework to getting a 90 because you asked the questions, you didn't get the result you wanted, and you sat with those thoughts and emotions and tried to figure out what can I do better next time, or how, or what is this? How could this be fixed, or how, not even how could it be fixed, but just you just sat with it. I don't even know, bruh. I don't even know, bruh. I agree. I feel like I'm just repeating myself this whole fucking video. I think ignorance is bliss. I think the fact that if you don't ask something, or the fact that you're unknown, you will still be happy, right? But I really, I ultimately feel that the true form of bliss really comes from asking those questions, even if it's not the result you want. And I think it's better. I don't know. I don't want to say better. It just depends per scenario where the situation is. But I really think that, like, when you ask that question, right, and let's say it doesn't go the way you want, that's a moment for you to internalize and figure out what went wrong. I'm not saying figure out how to fix it or how to heal it or whatever it may be, but I think it's a turn when you can figure out what did I do wrong, and just let me learn from it. Not what did I do wrong, how can I fix it? Not what did I do wrong, how can I make it better? What did I do wrong, and let's learn from it. And then once you figure out what you did wrong, once you say, okay, we're going to learn from this, I just really think the result will just be you will just simply be happier than you were if you did not ask. If you sat in that ignorance and you stayed with that contemporary happiness, I think that's fake happiness. I think you need to ask the question to go through whatever it is on that in between, so the bliss is more true. You're happier. You know what I mean? I don't even know if this is making sense. Ah! That's all I got, guys. That's all I got. This has been an odd one, but I think that's the whole process of this. I don't know. I think that makes it more. I feel like it makes it more serious. Not more serious, but like, yeah, I think it makes it more serious when you see me go up and down in terms of not like sitting down and standing up, but when you see me, have these thoughts that make sense, and then I'm like 20, I don't even know what the hell I'm saying. I feel like it makes it more attached. You know what I mean? Because I think the same way that I'm going through life and I'm sitting here confused out of my mind trying to figure out what to say, I think it's the same thing you are. You're going through life, you don't know what to say, you want to find the words, but the words just aren't coming. You try to have the perfect thought, you have the perfect thought. I guarantee you I'm going to have the perfect thoughts after this video is done. I'm literally going to go, I'm going to end the video, I'm going to go inside, I'm going to put my phone next to the Wi-Fi box, and I'm going to upload this. And then like 10 minutes after that, I'm going to be like, oh, I wish I said this. I think that's just part of it, right? That's just part of it. But main thing, man, main thing, and if you're here, first off, I appreciate that. If you're at the very end of this, I appreciate that. It really means a lot. Main thing, man, is I think that don't don't sit in that ignorance. Don't sit in the fact that you don't know something. Ask the questions. Be the person who raises their hand first. Ask. Send that first text. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Which is what ignorance means, to not know. I see what I did there. Anyways. But no, like for real, don't sit in that ignorance. Don't sit in the unknown. Ask the questions. Send that text. Raise your hand. Sit in the front of the class. Do whatever it is to just get out of ignorance. So whenever you're out of it, or whenever you do ask that question, whatever emotions or thoughts or moods may come after it comes. But then whenever those emotions fade, whenever those thoughts fade, you're just happier than you would have been if you didn't ask. Just that's really what I'm trying to get at is just ask those questions. I agree that ignorance is bliss. I agree that if you don't know something, it will sustain your happiness. But I ultimately think that I think you will be happier if you do ask the questions and you do go through the process, that is the answer. Holy fuck, I felt like that sounded so smart. Anyways, that's all I got. I love you guys. I hope you're having a good day. Go do something that makes you happy. I'll see y'all folks later, twin.